So there are three main parts to the First Amendment. This is the most important amendment that we have in the Constitution. We're going to take just a moment and break down this really quickly, and then we're going to talk a little bit about free speech. The first piece here, in terms of law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So this is just the First Amendment. Each of these is kind of the three key points that we're looking at. There are two important parts to this first clause here. This blue part here is called the religious clause, religious freedom. It's got two pieces to it. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. In the language of the day, this meant Congress can never create an official state religion. You cannot say the Methodists, that's the official church of the United States. The Catholics, that's the official church. They can't do that. That's what establishment of religion means. Over time, it has come to be interpreted as, does the government seem to provide a systematic benefit to one religion over another religion? That's a more complicated question. The second part of the Religion Amendment has to do with protecting the free exercise of religion. That has to do with you, your ability to express yourself and to live your life based on your religious values. What I'm going to do is post from the 11 o'clock class the section of the lecture in which I talked about that. So I'm going to develop that. I developed that this morning. I'm going to develop this part for this class. So I'll post this section for you here where I develop this more thoroughly. And I'll have that up later today or tomorrow. The second part has to do with abridging the freedom of speech and of the press. This essentially says you have the right to express yourself. You have the right to say anything in politics that you want to say. The third part says you have the right to assemble peaceably. Now, the important thing about all of these rights, and any rights that we're talking about, is that they are never completely absolute. There are always exceptions. There are always circumstances in which some of these rights cannot be completely exercised. So you have freedom of speech, but you can't really say anything you want to. So you can't really advocate the violent overthrow of the United States government. You can't do that. You cannot yell fire in a crowded theater or cause a panic that makes people go crazy and causes loss of life. You can't. That kind of speech is not protected. But speech that's highly critical of Donald Trump's State of the Union address tonight, you can do that all day long. Okay? And he can't do anything about it except scream and threaten. But he can't really do anything. You can assemble peaceably. Now, peaceable assembly means there can be reasonable regulation on assemblies. You can't just completely assemble and start a whole protest march without any kind of interface with the local government, because the government also has an interest in maintaining domestic tranquility. Right? So you have to get permits, but those permits have to be available to lots of people. There are three big pieces then to the general freedom of speech aspects of the First Amendment. The first one has to do with your right to express yourself. This is freedom of expression. Pretty much anything about any public figure, especially in politics, anything is fair game, even lies. You can lie like crazy about Barack Obama. You can lie like crazy about Donald Trump, and that is protected speech about a public figure. Now, you can't lie like crazy about me because I'm not a public figure. And if you lie about me and you destroy my reputation, then I can sue you. But Donald Trump cannot sue you. Gretchen Whitmer cannot sue you. Barack Obama cannot sue you. They are public figures in the public sphere. They are fair game for anything. So if you want to go into politics, just be aware, anybody, once you do that, anybody can say pretty much anything they want against you. Even lying is constitutionally protected speech. There was a Supreme Court case a few years ago in which a candidate lied about his military record. Said he got a bunch of awards, said he did a bunch of service. Complete lie. Supreme Court said he has a right to lie. It's up to us to discern the truth. So even lying is constitutionally protected speech. Obscene materials, like the Supreme Court said, I don't know what it is, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Right? Anything that's obscene by community standards could be restricted, but mostly not. Commercial speech, anything you say in commercials, unless you're just outright lying or attempting to deceive, a lot of commercial speech is considered free. Yes?
So, I would remember as far as like campaign commercials and stuff like that. When people make a commercial, say that this person did this. This is why he shouldn't be in office. That are those generally truths?
If they're true, well, any campaign commercial that lies about another candidate, that's constitutionally protected. Now, there can still be political consequences if people find out that you lied about it. It could hurt your candidate's reputation. But the lie itself is protected. It's not a public. Which explains why we have so much lie. When it comes to freedom of the press, virtually anything related to public affairs, government officials, public policy, virtually anything is covered. So any news organization can say pretty much anything that they want to about President Trump, President Obama, members of Congress, whatever. There's very little restriction on what can be said in the press about public figures. Now, again, if somebody runs a story against a private citizen like you or like me, and that story hurts our character, hurts our ability to earn a living, then we can sue that organization as private individuals. But government officials are pretty much off limits. They give up that right to restrict those, to have legal revenge on those stories.
What qualifies as a public figure? Like, do celebrities count in that too?
So the question is, do celebrities count in that? Celebrities are kind of in a gray area. So a long time ago, like Barbara Streisand sued the National Enquirer for false stories about her. And I think she won. But it might be that she actually had to go to England and sue in England because they don't have the same protections that we do. But our political, it's mainly our political figures. Celebrities have a little bit more recourse for suing, but not as much, not very much. Not like you were, unless you're a celebrity, and I don't know. Finally, in terms of assembly, you can organize an orderly assembly however you want to. You have the freedom to do that. But permits that are issued from local governments have to be issued in a neutral way. So just because the local government doesn't like your speech doesn't mean, or doesn't like your issue or your group, doesn't mean they can deny you. So Nazis, they get to march. Organizations for illegal immigrants, they get to march. And they have to have equal and equivalent application of those laws applied in a neutral way to any organization that is going to have an assembly. Questions? So that's really high level. Obviously, even the book goes into more detail than this, but this kind of gives you a general overview of this question.